was unbelievable. Well, what happens, which I didn't know, the walls bleed. And when the walls bleed, all the nicotine and smoke dribbles down the wall, and it looks like a scene from Carrie, where everything is just dark and just running down the wall.
Oh, that's cool.
Welcome to RealTea Chicago, the podcast for real estate professionals and enthusiasts to step out of their own life and enjoy the trials and tribulations of someone else's shit. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Terrence.
And we are here to share with you the most interesting, captivating, and unhinged stories we can find in Chicago real estate. And if you've made it this far, you've listened to all the episodes, please like, subscribe, follow us so we can grow and
Build.
Persevere.
thrive.
That's good.
I'm out of words.
Okay,
Yeah.
Let's do it. So today, our guest is Ted Kuhlmann of the TK
Teddy.
MD.
You don't call me Ted?
Do you want to be Ted? You could be whatever you want to be.
Jamie, with you can call me anything you want.
Let's go.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Call you TK.
TK is good too.
TK.
Mm-hmm.
Where's MD today?
MD has a child now, so she is making sure the child is living and feeding, and it's been pretty good.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of our viewers, listeners that may not know you, can you give us a quick elevator pitch of your life, real estate career?
Real estate career. Jamie Book, I am Ted Kuhlmann. I've been in the business for 20 years now, 2004.
Ooh.
So I believe, being a longtime listener of the podcast, I might be the oldest person that you've had on so far in terms of duration in the business. Potentially.
Yeah.
Anyway, just let me go with this. Just let me have that, okay?
You can have it for now.
Thank you so much, sir.
We'll fact check later.
My mom started in the business in 1983. I did everything in my power after college to not follow her into the business, and I lost. So I followed her in 2004, and I am still here 20 years later, somewhat thriving, somewhat persevering.
I like it.
Yeah. We're going to just use that word as many times as we can today.
Thrive.
Or persevere?
Persevere. Everything.
All of the things.
Mm-hmm.
Grow, build, achieve. If you believe it, you can achieve it.
You know how everyone says, like, when you ask, how you doing? And they're like, living the dream. I hate that saying. So my new favorite saying is, here, ask me, how am I doing?
Hi, Jimmy Book. What is your new favorite saying?
No, ask me how I'm
Jamie
doing.
Book, how you doing?
Working and twerking.
Oh, well, that's much worse.
They're like, yeah, what's going on? What's new? Working and twerking.
Working and twerking.
Absolutely a living by the dream guy. I like the first one better.
Well, that just tells us how different we are.
You know what I hate? I hate no worries.
Ain't no worries.
I don't know why it annoys me, and it always has, ever since it became a phrase maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
I say that all the time. I'm sorry.
Don't read my text messages. I feel like no worries happens pretty much every other conversation.
At least 5 times a day.
Hey, no worries. Everything's fine. We're going to do great.
Yeah.
Because you have to make sure everyone knows we're here to facilitate the transaction.
Yeah, no problem. All good. Taken care of. I hate no worries.
No worries.
What's
Because you know
your play?
what?
What do you
I
use to
have
say?
worries.
We all have worries.
We all have worries. But in this particular situation, no problem.
On that note.
And on that
man.
note,
Man, I'm already getting beat up. here.
Ted,
That's right.
Teddy,
Hey.
TK,
Right.
give us your 2 truths and a lie.
Jamie, let me start by saying Teddy, Ted, Theodore, TK.
Ooh, Theodore.
Theodore is my formal name.
I like that.
That was my birth certificate name given to me by my parents.
Your government name?
The government name.
Okay.
And it only comes out when something's wrong.
Yeah.
Growing up, if I heard Theodore, I knew something was not right.
Yeah.
But I've been Teddy my entire life to anyone that I know in this city of Chicago. I grew up on the north side. So if I hear someone call me Teddy, I feel like there's a longevity there, a friendship that supersedes real estate. Jamie, our friendship does supersede real estate, so you're okay saying it. But most people over my past 20 years have called me Ted. So I do go by Ted as of the last 20 years just because I love Teddy. I just feel like it's also a little bit more fun and cool, and it's not professional enough for me. Granted, I'm not Theodore either.
So you're Ted.
Having said that, you call me whatever you want. Let's go back. You could probably edit all that stuff for sure.
Welcome to his TED Talk.
Thank you. This is my TED Talk. And for my TED Talk today, I do have 2 truths and a lie to give these 2 next to me.
In no particular order.
No order. And actually mine is going to have a theme. We're going to do something a little different.
Ooh.
My theme today is final walkthroughs.
Oh,
Let's go.
I like it.
I feel like everyone's kind of all over the board with theirs, and I'm like, you know what? Let's kind of pigeonhole this, knock out final walkthroughs, because I'm sure all three of us have had something that is one kind of craziness at the final walkthrough. First one I'm going to say is that I had a listing where, and actually all of these are two-pronged as well. So actually I had this happen on both the seller and the buyer side in two separate transactions.
Okay.
You'll get it in a second, Jamie. Don't look at me like that.
Okay.
The first one is I had a listing where at the final walkthrough I opened the front door and I encountered a busted pipe that cost $30,000 in a seller credit. On the flip side of that, I had a buyer that we walked in the front door and we walked into a busted pipe that cost $50,000 in a seller transaction. That's one. Number two, I had a listing where at the final walkthrough, we were finishing up and the seller turned to me at the end and said, by the way, I'm not selling my property. I just want you to know that.
The seller was at the final walkthrough.
Outside. And when I got outside after the final walkthrough, the seller decided, by the way, I just want you to know I'm not selling.
You're on the buy side.
On the sell side for that. But on
you're
the
on the
buy
sell.
side, believe it or not, Terrence, that happened as well, where I walked into a final walkthrough about 3 weeks ago, potentially, if this is true. And the buyer was like, I'm not going to buy this property. 30 minutes before closing, she decided potentially she's not going to buy the property. And the final one, which is kind of my favorite, I went to a listing for a final walkthrough. And when we got inside, the music was a little bit loud. And we knocked on the bedroom door thinking it was empty. And there was a futon still in there. And there were tenants in there doing things.
Let's go. Let's go.
Naughty thing?
Naughtiest things. It was empty. It was a tenant occupied space. We thought they were moved out. There were a couple things that were in the listing, which happens all the time. You and I both know. And in this case, there was a little music. Nobody heard us walk in the front door. We got to the bedroom, sure enough. And that also happens on the buy side as well, where I walked in with my buyer and we find a seller sitting on the couch in just his boxers, watching TV, and didn't realize we were closing that day.
Okay.
So having said all that, if you could recall, 2 of those are the truths. 1 of those is a lie.
Oh, so okay. So 4 of those are truths.
Sorry, I guess, yeah,
2
I'm sorry
of
about
those
that.
are
4 are
lies.
true.
Mark Ainley was allowed to have 4 total, I think, in a couple
He
episodes.
went rogue.
He did.
He did
so
go
I'm like, you
rogue.
know what? I'm going to change this up a little bit too.
I kind of
Okay.
like it, though. It's fun.
I don't want to cause any trouble with you.
No, you're fine because
No
there's
troubles.
still technically 2 truths and a lie.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, ladies first.
I'm guessing 2 and 3. So basically people refusing to close, and then the third walking in on people not being ready to close.
Okay. I am going with pipes and bump and grind.
As your truths.
Those are my
God,
truths.
you know what's amazing, guys? I love you both, but you're both wrong on both fronts.
How can we?
Wait. So wait, you said 2 and 3, so you went with refusing to close and bumping uglies.
Correct.
Correct.
I went with pipes and bumping uglies.
Correct.
So how can we both be wrong?
Because it's not. Those aren't both correct. One of those is fake.
Okay.
One of them is true.
And which one do you have in common in your 2 guesses?
So is
Oh, dang it.
the bump and ugly?
Boom.
Dang it.
You both guess bumping uglies.
And
which it is the fake. Listen, here's the thing, Terrence. I really, really, really wanted that to be true.
Me too.
I mean, I kind of played your own card on you because you've said before you picked the one that you don't expect, that you really want to be true.
That I want to hear the story.
For sure.
Wow, he knows you. He's like, I know Terrence is going to want
By the way, guys,
this.
I am a longtime listener, first-time caller today.
That's a beautiful thing, though. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Of course.
We're going to have to change up our formats.
You're kind of too predictable, guys.
That's okay.
In a good way. Trust me, it's a good way, of course. But at the end of the day, that did not happen. Like, I really would love to walk in on something like that and have that to tell you guys today, but it didn't happen.
Okay. I'm sure that it has happened.
100%.
It
And I'm
has.
sure it's happened probably to people we know.
Absolutely.
For sure. Do you want to disclose, Jamie? It feels like you have a story real
I
quick that you
have
can...
maybe later.
Okay.
I might
Okay.
need
People
internet
love
for
hearing
it, though.
things like that. I think that's kind of the one everyone in the world would love to be true.
Yes, let's put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Realtors?
Having said that, truths real quick. I mean, I can knock them out. Final walkthrough, I walked in. I had a listing in Albany Park. It was a 2-flat. And rule of thumb in the winter is don't turn off your gas to, make sure that the heat stays on because it gets cold in Chicago, listener, if you don't know that. In this case, my sellers didn't have a lot of money. They were selling this 2-flat for $250, $260. And this is about 10 years ago. So
Oh, I was like, can I buy it
yeah,
now?
for sure.
Like,
Exactly. I
is
was
it
like,
still
by the way,
available?
as I said 260, I'm like, wait a second, that sounds like a pretty good deal. My sellers decided that they wanted to save the couple $100 in gas bills. So they did turn that off, unbeknownst to me. And at the final walkthrough, as I walked in the front door, you know, in Chicago, rule of thumb is cold air drops. So you would expect the pipes to burst in the basement. Well, they bursted on the second floor of the 2-flat. And our guesstimation was that it probably happened sometime about a week before the final walkthrough. So it was probably the coolest, most chaotic, crazy scene I've ever seen. Where
There's
literally
frozen water everywhere.
water everywhere. It was an ice castle on the first floor and basement. A pipe had burst in the kitchen on the second floor. And literally the entire first floor and basement were all ice. It was beautifully
That's cool,
horrible. It
but
was
awful.
so cool. So needless to say, the buyers who were buying the place to gut it were still cool with it, but they wanted a $30,000 closing cost credit for it. Took the credit, closed, it was done about 2 hours later.
That's
Wow.
impressive.
Craziness. It was absolutely gorgeous. On
I
the flip
mean-
side, go ahead, please.
Just that is a lesson learned,
Lesson
right?
learned, and
To
they did
save
that.
a couple $100 on your gas
It
bill,
was
they lost
$30,000 to
30.
save $200 potentially.
Yep.
And $30,000 on a 260 purchase price. That's huge.
I mean, what are we talking there? It's 10%, a little over 10%.
Yeah.
Craziness. And then on the flip side, so I had a buyer, same situation. I mean, he was buying this house to gut it up in Edgebrook. And sure enough, we got to the final walkthrough and it was a vacant property in the estate sale. And sure enough, same situation happened. Little less craziness in the middle of the winter. It actually happened in the spring or the summer.
Oh,
So it was just a leaky pipe that happened on the second floor that just blew out of proportion. It would have been in the property for about a month. And there was some water damage in the basement, a lot less damage, but we ended up getting a $50,000 closing cost credit for that.
why
So that was-
more for?
Long story short, it was an insurance claim. So the sellers in this case had insurance on the property, pulled the claim. It was a $50,000 reimbursement for the insurance claim.
Okay.
So we just took it off the price. The sellers actually got reimbursed for that extra $50,000. So the sellers made the same amount of money.
Right.
My buyers just got to pay $50,000 less.
And insurance paid 50.
100%. Yeah.
What was the purchase price?
555. They bought it for 505. Yeah.
That's
I've done my homework today, guys. I actually went back to look
Yeah,
at the
you
numbers
knew
here
all
just to make
that.
sure.
That's
Jimmy,
better math.
You got to show prepared, man. You know, some people show up and they don't know how to put on headphones.
Ooh,
We're
shots
not,
fired.
We're not going to name names or
Shots
anything here, but you know,
fired.
some people out there, I do love them, but you know, you gotta be prepared, right? Oh, you like that one? That was good.
I like that one.
Yeah, I mean, he's a
Sick.
great guy. One of my favorite guys. And then quick and easy, the middle one. It's not as fun, but I had a seller one time. We're at the final walkthrough. We walked outside after the walkthrough, and he turned to me and said, "By the way, I'm not closing today. Or I'm not closing." And I was like, "You're closing. We're literally done. You're going to the final walkthrough, and we're going to closing." And this was extremely. You can talk to MD about this some other time, but we had some issues with this gentleman for years. And the long and the short of it was he did close about a month and a half later. He just wasn't prepared to close at that time. And he actually bumped the closing back 3 or 4 times in between that time.
Same buyers.
Buyer stuck around. At the end of the day, they were extremely patient, thank God. And I kind of prefaced it when we went to contract that I had a seller that was throwing curveballs like no one's business. Sure enough, they stuck around and made it to the closing, but it took 6 more weeks after the initial final walkthrough, which was kind of crazy.
Did he have any reason, or he just was like?
I mean, he might be listening or might listen to this down the road, so I don't want to say too many
Okay,
bad
that's
things.
fair.
But he was pretty difficult to work with, and Mariah actually had the listing from this gentleman 2 times before, had buyers, contracts on it, refused to close both of those times, and the third time she was like, "You take it," and I
can't
ended up getting
believe-
it to the closing table.
Yeah.
But we charged him a 7% commission.
There you
Good.
go.
Mariah took 2%, and then we just divvied it up.
I mean, sometimes. Listen, if you're going to be
Crazy.
difficult and you know you're going to be difficult, you pay for it.
I mean, I think most people listening understand what a final walkthrough is. At the end of the day, the culmination of the entire process is it's long, it's winded, as you know as well on your side. And generally, it's a pretty happy day for both parties, right?
Yeah.
You have people that walk in the front door and they're ecstatic to be buying, ecstatic to be getting paid. And then you run into these small hiccups and you're like, oh shit. And our job is to adapt and adjust. And how are we going to make sure that this happens or doesn't happen based on their wishes?
yeah.
So
Sure.
let me ask,
Please.
from a lending standpoint, were the buyers financing or were they paying cash?
Financed.
Jeez, that must have
Financed.
been a nightmare for the lender.
Can't even imagine.
Extending the lock or
Because I think the final walkthrough actually happened weeks after there was already an extension. So
That lock.
Can I say the word shit show on this, or could we edit that out? Okay, cool. But it was horrible. In my 20 years, I've done numerous transactions, but that was easily the worst seller to work with, with regards to him making a final decision to sell. Once he finally got over the hump and they closed, it was like, let's party.
Interesting.
For sure.
I mean, I've known of people that have, gotten emotionally attached to
Totally.
a property.
Of course.
And they just, okay, I don't want to sell it.
Sure.
But this is not after it's cleared to close.
Rule of thumb is you don't do that at the final walkthrough 30 minutes before closing, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, get the cold feet somewhere in between. Makes it easier for every party.
Walk away and attorney review.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us then the buyer.
And the buyer side actually just happened a month ago. It's one of my favorite clients in the world. She was buying this property for her and her husband. He's in a wheelchair. And we were looking in Edgewater for a high rise along Sheridan. There's a bunch of different high rises down there.
Mm-hmm.
We picked the one high rise that we didn't realize doesn't have a ramp anywhere in the property. Every high rise has one, you would think, right? There's elevators, there's 30 floors of living. We, at the final walkthrough, realized that there's a couple steps up the front to get into the lobby, 3 more steps up to get to the elevators, and then you get on the elevator. And she found out 30 minutes before the close that this property that she's buying with the sole intent of living there with her husband in a wheelchair isn't going to work for them.
Had he not been to the property yet?
He is not.
Okay, so it's one of those things where you guys have walked in and done it multiple times and just went over your head like, oh, wait, we just walked up 3 steps and we forgot.
Terrence, we're on Sheridan. There's all high rises everywhere.
Yeah.
Most of the people, it's generally a demographic that's a little bit older.
Yeah.
You would think people up there generally have wheelchairs from time to time. We picked the one property where we went in the front door, noticed it, said, there's probably a service door in the back.
Is that even allowed for them not to have?
ADA, good point. So that did come up, of course.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, she was like, well, maybe if they install a ramp or something.
Yeah.
The building had encountered this before. We talked to the HOA presidents. The long and the short of it is there could have been a way to potentially get a short-term fix and put a little ramp in there. My seller was like, look, I'm not young enough to be dealing with carrying ramps up and down the stairs or hiding them or bringing them out.
Yeah, no, and it shouldn't be their
Not at all.
responsibility. It should be the building
100%,
properly
100%,
equipped.
you would think.
Wow.
Especially down there.
Great.
So the long and the short was 30 minutes before close, we were all happy and ready to rock and roll. And she was like, can't buy this.
I get
So
it.
was there earnest money
There was
on
earnest
the line?
money. And I hate to say, in my 20 years of doing this, I had never lost $1 to any buyer for real estate or for earnest money. And she was the first that the sellers wanted compensation. We agreed to give them $5,000 of the earnest money and they took it.
I was going to say, because that's such a difficult one because...
Correct.
I mean, how
I
many times had
understand.
you guys been there?
Totally.
I
was there 3 times. I've done
Yeah.
this 20 years, Jamie, right?
Yeah.
It's like the agent called me on the phone and was like, I just heard that you guys are killing the deal. Are you serious? And I was like that guy that's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I swear I know what I'm doing most of the time, but not in this instance. It was pretty crazy.
But she was there too.
She was there as well.
I mean, you were there, she was there. And
Correct.
again, it's something that we don't think about, right? I mean, there's 2 steps. Oh, big deal. But... Not,
2 steps.
Right. Not when you
Walked in,
have a wheelchair.
beautiful lobby. I mean, I can even, 6101 is the address of the property on
Or
Sheridan.
even like you said, you just assume there's
100%.
another door somewhere.
Every other property we've looked for 6 months, we've looked at 30, 40 condos. Every single one, you walk right in off the street, there's a ramp there, there's a ramp to the elevator. You get
Right.
upstairs,
You just get used to it.
you just get used to it.
That's so
So
crazy.
unfortunately, and then the lie, of course, is the naked people. And I apologize for that because I wanted nothing more than to be that guy that's telling those stories and being like, yeah.
That's exactly...
Everyone loves naked people.
Everybody
I mean,
loves
Jesus.
naked people.
I mean, come on, everyone wants to see it. I mean, I've seen some naked men. I'm like, maybe not. But for the most part,
I'd say there's some naked people that you don't want to see
100%
naked.
true. Unfortunately, the people that you normally see naked are the people you don't want to see naked.
That's
generally
how it works, yeah.
I've noticed
Especially
that
out in public, yeah.
for sure.
Mm.
Yeah. So, all right, good. So I got you guys. Wow, I can't believe it. I mean, granted, I knew you wanted the naked people to be true. I did.
That's why you
the
threw that in
listeners
there,
all
and-
did. I mean,
I have been bamboozled.
I'm here to let people down. The naked people was not true. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll forgive you.
Maybe next time in 10 years when you invite me back, I'll come on and I'll have some naked stories.
Surprise, if you're watching the YouTube, Ted's actually naked right now. Just kidding.
That's why the plant's there. We had to hide his crotch.
The plant is in front of my it's not small. It's a little bit too small, though. So it's okay, though. We're not going to go there. Let's keep this a little bit clean.
We'll bring that
Is
one
this
over
PG,
next time.
PG-13? Where are we at with this?
We are.
I mean, we are R right now.
Are you guys R?
You have dropped 2 shits today
Damn it.
on the podcast.
I think shit's okay, though. Isn't the F-bomb the one that kind of...
Fuck.
Oh, wow. You know what? There's nothing better than a lady that's got a dirty mouth. Just want you to know. Sorry, was there a transition there?
I got nothing.
Okay, cool.
No, we're good.
Cool,
Yep.
cool.
No, that's gonna stay in the podcast.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
Title of this episode: Dirty Mouth Holding the Mic.
Oh, God.
And
My
that's the other
dad
thing.
listens to this.
Does he?
Yeah, he told me I should clean it up a bit.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Sorry, Dad.
Mr. B.
Fuck.
Mr. Book,
Sorry
I
about
am
that, Mr. B.
Mr. Book, we are so sorry.
Yeah.
I wasn't privy to this information, but now that I know, PG-13 all the way.
Yeah, I generally have a very, very clean vocabulary too, so this is really awkward for me.
No more 4-letter words on the RealTea Chicago podcast.
Yeah, so those are my
Starting
two
now.
truths and a lie, and I just want to obviously, real quick, I didn't start from the beginning. I probably should have. To thank you both for letting me come on here.
Oh.
I mean, that would have been good to do this generally up front, but I just want to start talking right away, so I forgot. But, you know,
We'll
I know.
have time at the end for
Okay,
that.
we can do that. Okay, so we can kiss and hug at the end. I'll
Yeah,
shut up.
exactly.
Sorry, Jimmy's telling me to shut up, guys.
And she can
Okay,
edit
cool.
it, put it right back in the front of the episode.
Wow.
Okay, then.
But okay, so you are a North Side.
Born and raised North Side, grew up in Lincoln Square. I say Lincoln Square. It's Ravenswood Manor, technically.
Okay.
A lot of people have issue with that and don't really know exactly what that means. I think Lincoln Square is a little bit more easy to know.
I feel like Ravenswood is a part of Lincoln Square. Or
Technically,
Lincoln Square
Albany
is a
Squ-
part
Albany
of
Park.
Ravenswood.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough. But yeah, so grew up there, born in the late 70s. Not to date myself. I already did, I believe so. Yeah, my mom did it for 35 years. I followed her into biz. But Northside boys, like I personally, believe it or not, a lot of listeners are going to hate this, including some people on my team. But I don't like going south of North Avenue.
South of North.
South of North.
Really?
You know, the city's bumping and everyone loves the West Loop and River North and everything, the Bean. But those of us that have been around for a couple of years, the city down there is touristy and transplants. It's not
I
really.
mean, I would agree with that. And
Wow, awesome.
yeah.
I thought I was going to catch some shit for that.
Well, no, the
Not
Bean
for
is
me.
the Bean is now what, officially 20 years old?
Yeah, and didn't they just rename it too, I believe? Wasn't there?
Did they?
Did they?
Yeah, I think they were trying to rename it or something.
To what?
I don't know.
I mean, it's always been Cloudgate, but they were trying to change it from Cloudgate.
What the hell's the Cloud Gate?
That's the official name of the Bean.
Stop it.
That's actually what the
Chicago
Bean is
Trivia
called.
101 on RealTea Chicago.
Okay, I first of all, I've never been to the Bean.
There's no reason to.
I'm sorry, I live here. The hell would I go to the Bean for?
100%.
Hold on, I'm processing this information.
Go ahead, you can process.
How have you never? I was just at the Bean yesterday.
Why would you go to the Bean
I was at
yesterday?
Blues Fest.
Oh, okay. I was like, do you just hang out? Jamie goes to the Bean
I
once
just
a
go
week.
to the Bean
She
so
loves
I
the
can
Bean.
look inside.
I've seen it.
Terrence, I'm on board with you. I've never been either. I mean, I know where it is, and
I know
of
exactly
course-
where it
of
is.
course.
You haven't had like friends visit that are like,
No.
let's go
No.
downtown and
No.
walk. Oh,
Absolutely
I've
not.
obviously
I'm not
had
surprised
friends
by you,
visit.
but-
I like to
Don't you?
show people the true Chicago,
Which isn't the Bean or Navy Pier.
which isn't south of North Avenue. So that's
what
the
do you
thing.
show them on the north side?
I mean, you got to find all the holes in the wall, the restaurants, the bars,
That's
the pubs.
true.
Like, there's a lot of cool
yeah.
flavor. The problem is a lot of it's going away.
Yeah.
So over the past decade or two, it's just what I grew up with has changed a lot. Which again, that's gonna really date me, but I guess that's life, right? But all of my fan favorites over the years, from bars to restaurants to whatever, have just slowly went away to bigger and better.
Not
to money.
necessarily better, just bigger.
Bigger and better. Good point.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's
You're right.
So okay, so you stay north of North, east of what?
Western Avenue generally. I mean, I live now in Lincoln Park, so I can't really say that. But I mean, I'm a northwest side boy.
Yeah.
So rule of thumb is, on the weekends it was Lincoln Square all the way up to like Edison Park, which a lot of people don't even know where Edison Park is. A lot of the people listening to this do, though. You're welcome, guys.
I mean, it's about as far northwest as you can get.
Totally. It's at the very
In
edge.
Chicago.
It's the very edge. Yeah, Norwood Park, Edison Park, all the way up there are generally where all the cops and the firemen live, because they have to have a city address, but
And
they
it's
don't
very
want to be
suburban.
Very suburban.
Yep.
Very suburban. Yeah, so generally northwest side somewhere, running around town.
Wow.
But now that I have a kid, which has kind of come up, but not really, my life is a little bit different.
How old?
4.5 months.
Oh, like
Little
new kid.
baby Cash.
Yeah, there's nothing like being 45 years old and having your first, because it brings you back down to earth, and you think you're established and you know what you're doing in life, and then this little being pops out and is like, gives you the finger, and now you just change and you do a 180 on your head. But it's been great. It's been great so far for both of us.
I have a personal question.
Please do.
Not that these haven't been personal so
Sure,
far.
totally.
Why now?
I mean, where can we start with these details here?
I'm getting deep.
I guess, MD, who It's short for Mariah Dell, in case some people didn't know that. Jamie didn't really
Thank you.
stipulate that up front. Mariah and I have been together for about 11 years. And after a really good run, we decided, hey, you know what? Should we try? And we one day just kind of dropped the goalie and went that route and decided, hey, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Pull the
You know,
goalie.
unfortunately, I have a lot of friends in my 40s, of course, that have had to go different routes and try to have families and having some difficulty. And it just, we were like, hey, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, great. Because we've had a really good run of 10-ish years together where everything was rolling. And as soon as we dropped the goalie, we found out last April that it was happening. And then it happened. So technically, it's about a year and a half now since we found out we were pregnant. And
That's the decision.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So there's
This is
hope
a
out
cute
there.
kid.
He's a cute little guy. His name's Cassius, Cash Kuhlmann. So he's got a nice little sports name. Hopefully he's a baller somehow.
That's
Golfer,
awesome.
basketball, whatever. Cash Kuhlmann sounds like a really good athlete. So,
Boxer?
Cassius Clay, of course.
There you go.
What's funny is like everyone over the age of 50 that we encounter automatically comes at us and is like, oh yeah, Cassius Clay. You don't really get that from a lot of people under 40 though.
I'm going to say,
I have no idea who that is.
Can I be the anomaly?
There we go.
You don't
There
know
we
who
go.
Cassius Clay is?
There we go, guys.
Oh, and I've never been to the Bean.
Well played. Well played, T.
Cassius Clay, better known as Muhammad Ali.
Oh, okay. I know who that is.
Same guy.
Same guy.
Why does he have...
Why does he have two names?
Yes.
He changed his name.
He did decide to change his name halfway through his life.
Oh, I didn't know that. Why would I know that?
God.
Everybody knows that.
But that's the thing too. Let me interject and say most people over 50 for sure. 40s, there's kind of that. But then I feel like most people under
30s?
40s, a lot of people are like, who's this Cassius Clay character?
Well,
so,
I mean,
and again, he's not
you're-
named after
Okay, I
Cassius
think I'm
Clay,
going to have
but
to...
the Cassius part of
You're
it,
not
obviously.
editing this out. No. You're barely in your 30s, and I'm almost in my 40s. So,
So what he's saying checks out.
yeah,
Kind of.
it depends. If the sports people, they know.
Sports people, they know for sure.
And I'm clearly not a sports
What
person.
gave that away, Jamie Book? Wow.
I don't know.
Okay. Wow, Jamie doesn't listen to sports,
The
everyone.
only person less into
Newsflash.
sports than me is Patrick.
He comes up again on the podcast. Oh my God.
Now we need to ask Patrick, does he know who Cassius Clay is?
Patrick for sure
There's
has
no way.
zero idea who Cassius
Text
Clay is.
him right now.
Patrick knows sports. He likes to say go sports.
He
he's
says
one
go
of those.
sports ball.
I'm actually going to text him. Let's see if we can do this live. We'll see how this plays.
Yeah, let's see how long it takes him to respond. Who is, and tell him, do not Google this.
No, he won't.
Who is Cassius Clay?
Text message sent. Patrick, let's just see how quick you are at responding to your old friend, Ted Kuhlmann.
Let's
All
time
right.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
What else do you got for us, Ted?
Do
Got
I
a few
have
other...
to just bring things at you guys?
Just throw it out.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
really?
just
That's
going to
how it is?
ask you.
Because I can rattle off questions all day.
Oh my God, it was actually really... Patrick Ship, can I just say, you are amazing.
Already.
He said Muhammad Ali.
Wow.
And then he said...
Ooh.
Don't out
And then he said, don't out me. So, Patrick, that's crazy. That's about 30 seconds, bud. You passed the test. Little do you know that you're going to be on the pod yet again and that you came through like a stud.
He passed the speed and knowledge
That was
test.
extremely
That's very
interesting.
impressive.
I
Yeah.
am...
Let's go,
Sorry,
Patrick.
Pat, I'm shocked. Also, I called you Pat.
Oh, you did.
Oh, that's dirty. That's dirty.
I'll redo it. Sorry, Patrick. I'm shocked. Speaking of Patrick, though,
Oh, here it goes.
I want you to just say to
Please.
the public that
Please.
you corroborate his story about being on the roof, and that is how it happened.
Correct. So if you are listening to this is episode 12.
Yep.
And Patrick was on a previous episode. Jamie tried to get me on to be number 1, actually, but I declined. And after having my name dropped by Patrick and Tom Shellkraus, I was like, you know what, I better just come on. People are probably wondering, who is this amazing person that they keep talking
Yeah,
about?
that's
I
definitely.
love the humble brag.
Sorry, was that a brag?
That was a brag. It was a build-up.
Sorry
I love
about
the
that.
build-up.
Sorry about that. But yeah, Patrick did come on here and state that he got locked on the roof of a property, if you guys recall. Mm-hmm. Patrick has a lot of things happen to him, and there's a lot of people there to help him out. And I was there that day. And
So you were the one that rescued him.
I was there, and that was the one that don't change your keys or change your keys.
Yeah.
That was your episode. And I actually had a set of keys in my car. We were all screwed. We had no idea what to do. And sure enough, I just grabbed the set of keys, and I was like, let's just try keys.
Just like out of a
I
hunch,
have
you
a-
were just
on a
like,
hunch. I
let me
had
just
zero
try.
Zero idea this was going to work. And literally the second or third key worked. And I was like, you've got to be shitting me.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
Ran upstairs, opened the door, and let them out. We took a picture together. It's still circulating somewhere out there.
They were freezing.
They were freezing. It was probably a nice, mild, balmy 30-ish. It wasn't too crazy, but it was cold enough.
Sunny
And we
30.
have pictures of Patrick from the ground. He's like waving at us. So he'll never live that down.
No,
But
he
he
shouldn't.
I'm glad he brought that up. But he was actually pretty accurate with that. Ted Kuhlmann there to save the day yet again. You're welcome, Patrick Ship.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So you haven't walked in on anyone naked. Have you walked in on anything crazy, weird, worth noting?
So part of my two truths and a lie was going to be that I walked in on a dead body because you guys like to talk a couple weeks ago about dead people. There was a lot of dead talk.
Yes.
we have talked a lot about
You guys had a lot of dead
Death.
talk.
You know what? People die.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I personally never had it happen to me, but a good friend of ours, JK, that we worked with, actually walked in on a dead body in the kitchen. As he walked in, he thought it was a mannequin. And when he got in there, you can have him on at a later date for that, of course. But I just thought that was really nice.
He thought it was a mannequin.
Thought it was a mannequin.
Was it standing?
It was not. It was laying down face first, and he thought it was just a mannequin.
Stiff,
on the floor.
I assume, because, you know. Yeah,
totally.
okay.
And it ended up being a dead body. But unlike Mark Inley, I think he actually had to sit there for the cops and talk to them and give a statement, where I feel like Mark was like,
He said no.
He was like,
it was pretty
they're like,
impressive.
bye, have a good day.
It was
Maybe
pretty
because
impressive.
of location. I'm assuming this one was
potentially this was
north
up
of
in-
north.
This was north of north for sure. Well played, Terrence. Yeah, but that could potentially be it as well.
Yeah, when you.
But yeah, what's the craziest thing? I mean, again, when you do this for 30 years, like I was trying to come up with things and I'm like, what am I going to talk about here, right? I was hoping there'd be some more direction, but because there's not, and I have to just spitfire.
Spitfire,
I wrote
let's
you.
go.
You did. Jamie Book does actually
I
send you a
gave
really long
so
email.
many prompts, things to think about.
And I have some, as you can tell in front of you. Like I have a couple different good
Okay,
talking
what
points.
are they?
I mean, here's the thing: is like this is the real tea. Do you want me to spill tea on like? I mean, again, I'm not going to drop names. But I feel
Spill the
like
tea.
You can get some people on here. I mean, I guess we all have conversations with other agents and find people do things deceptive and unethical and things to that matter. And again, we're not gonna go there, of course, because we don't want to drop names. But I'm sure we all have a list of people that we know aren't potentially
Oh, yeah.
the nicest people in the world. I had a really good one with, unfortunately, my brother who was buying a house a couple years back and going to a multiple offer situation, and we had an escalation clause on there, which I think we don't have to explain or anything, right? Cool.
I don't think so.
Escalation clause. Long story short, we won the property. We had to pay to the extent of our escalation clause, which was $361, because we were told that there was an offer on the table for $360. What's funny is, upon the escalation clause, as you guys both know, the listing agent has to disclose the other offer potentially.
That has to be a bona fide offer.
Bona fide offer. Show me what I beat so I can actually tell my buyers that they have to beat it.
Yep.
When
And a lot of people don't actually ask for that.
they don't, and they should, for
They
sure.
really
right?
should,
I mean, again,
'cause,
taking
yeah.
people by the word.
Is it one of those things that's offensive to ask?
Not really, because it's actually stipulated, I think, in the escalation clause
It's not
as well.
on the escalation clause. It actually says like bona fide offer,
Correct.
and that they have to show it to you.
Correct.
So you block out, pertinent details, but you have to see the front page of the offer where it's signed and it has the number on it.
Okay.
Correct. So she sent over an email, and the email said, it was an email from the other agents, the other buyer's agent that we beat. And she redacted some of the information on there. She showed that there was a price of $360, so technically we beat it by $1,000. And she redacted a whole bunch of other things. Fortunately, and unfortunately for her, she did not redact the first name of the gentleman that was the other buyer agent. And it turned out to be a good friend of mine that was representing the buyer. Can I drop names?
That's up
Jim
to you.
Streff, one of my good
Jimmy.
friends. Jimmy Streff, who we all know here. Jim Streff is one of my good buds here, and Jim came through like a champ. So I called Jim and I was like, Jim, you're not going to believe this, but I know I just beat you in a multiple offer situation. Can you verify this? And he verified the price was $360, but that there was a $5,000 closing cost credit
Ooh.
that she failed to show.
$355.
She failed to show, and all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a second. Like technically we're supposed to beat the net, although
Does
there's like
it
a gray
say
area.
that?
There's
I
a gray
don't think
area.
it says
There's
that.
definitely a gray
So
area.
we write on our contracts now, net of all concessions.
Net of all concessions. That's pretty smart. So the long and the short, sorry, I'm a little long-winded,
No,
but
please.
we found out obviously that she was not completely thorough with giving us the information. I called her out in a text message, which I was reading this morning just to confirm it, and they ended up dropping the price.
Good.
So you went 356.
Actually, it turned out to be $358. So there was a little intricacies in there in detail that ended up, we dropped $3,000.
Okay.
So it wasn't a big drop, but it was
Still a win.
It was more about calling people out for being, and again, it's a gray area. Jamie's right.
Unethical, yeah.
Is it unethical? I mean, it's unethical if she purposely didn't disclose.
She redacted it, but then what's funny is we found out about the information after this happened. And then I had my attorney reach out and say, hey, I would like a copy of this other offer that we made to make it more legal.
Yeah.
So once that happened, then she sent the entire offer unredacted, at which point in time, obviously, we called her out. But yeah.
Oh,
no
instead of
names.
you going back to her and being like, so actually I talked to this agent and now.
Well, no, it's both. It's twofold. So obviously, once she sent the email to our attorney and made it legal, so now the attorney has a copy of it, and it was not redacted anymore. We went back to her with a text message, and I kind of just called her out. It was a little bit ugly, but long story short, my brother got the house. He lives there now with his wife and kids, and everybody's happy.
Good.
Most important, right?
And he saved $3,000.
He saved $3,000.
Why isn't he in real estate?
So when you have a big brother that just crushes life, it's really difficult to, do everything that the big brother does. So he actually, what's ironic is he followed my father's footsteps in business while I followed my mother's footsteps in business.
Okay.
My mother was a realtor and my dad was in liquor distribution.
Oh, okay.
And my brother decided to follow daddy's route. So he and I both do what our parents did.
You're both in sales.
God help us. Yes.
Nice.
Lord help us, everyone.
That was great, Jamie. Thank you.
That was just
Thank you.
awful.
That was pretty
I'll cut that
bad
out.
for
Tiny
sure.
Tim Jamie.
Oh my God. This is great.
What's next on your list?
Here's the thing is I have a bunch of different talking points, but I feel like after 20 years of doing this, you just kind of get cold
You
about
get
it.
used to it.
You get used to it.
You let your
Yeah.
emotions go.
Yeah.
Kinda
I mean,
sad,
you have
actually.
to. You really have to, right? I mean, otherwise, like, our clients are emotional enough. And if we have to, like, be on their level of emotion, it's going to be a whirlwind of just chaos, for sure.
So
True in a
what's-
lot of industries.
Has something happened to you recently? Or like, okay, you're saying you've been in the business so long, it's kind of hard to be fazed by anything. What is something that made you just stop and go, what the fuck?
Jamie
Wow,
Book.
we're dropping F-bombs now.
What?
Just went next level.
What the heck?
Okay.
TK. Okay. What the heck? Sorry, Mr. Book.
I guess some of the things that I've seen recently that are kind of ridiculous. I had a listing, which I think is amazing. Like, some people might not love this. I think this is unbelievable. It was.
We could do cool
I had
stories.
two-
I'm all
I
about
had two
cool
smokers
stories.
in this house, cigarette,
Yeah.
and the house stunk of cigarettes. And part of it before prepping was we were gonna have to like clean up or get a deoxygenator or whatever they call. We're gonna have to somehow get this
You have to paint.
Get the smell.
paint for sure. So that's the big thing, right, Terrence, is the smoke gets into the paint, into the cushions, into everything. What happened with this house was the humidifier broke and it started shooting humidity like nonstop throughout the house. So when we walked in there, it was Florida in the middle of the
It's like a
in the
plant
middle of summer.
heaven.
It was unbelievable. Well, what happens, which I didn't know, the walls bleed. And when the walls bleed, all the nicotine and smoke dribbles down the wall and it looks like a scene from Carrie where everything is just dark and just running down the wall.
Oh, that's cool.
It was super
awful.
cool. But here's
cool.
the thing is, like, it's something that we see every day, and I'm kind of like, oh, this is cool, but okay, this is kind of awesome. But like the seller's like, oh yeah, because we smoke in there. Like it was everywhere. So it kind of helped a little bit because we ended up having to sell the property and it smelled better after that happened. But we definitely needed to paint and everything on top of that. But you don't see that every day where walls bleed of cigarette nicotine. So that was pretty craziness.
I've
for sure.
obviously seen that, but I didn't realize that was what it's from.
And condensation and humidity bring out and pull it right off that paint and made it just everywhere. It was unbelievable. It was insane. And what was funny
Is it always nicotine? Because I've seen it in
I don't know if it was actually the
bathrooms.
nicotine or if it was the smoke. I don't know for sure which one was bleeding. But what I don't do is being in my older 40s, I don't take enough pictures. I mean, I
Yeah.
take a ton of pictures of the kid now because I have to, because, it's mini me. But at the end of the day, like we encounter so many things and then I get in the car and I'm like, damn it, why didn't I shoot that? That
Yeah.
ice storm that I showed you.
I know.
Oh, you
might
didn't
have
take a picture?
I think I got a picture or two. In fact, it's funny. Jim Streff probably has a copy and he can text me and we'll put it in the show notes.
There you go.
But I don't take enough pictures. So things like that, or I had a listing right around the block from that property and we got out there with the seller, gave me a tour of the property, got in the backyard, and the people next door not only had a chicken coop, but let the chickens run wild. And there
Yeah.
were 30 or 40 chickens in the backyard just running around.
Love it.
Which, again, is interesting for the city. You don't see that a lot, right? On the northwest side. But then you have buyers walk in the front door and they walk out there and they're like, do I want to live next to this? So
As long as there's no roosters, chickens are fine.
it's
still chickens.
It's still 40 chicken running free. Like there's not a coop, or there might have been a
There's
coop.
got to
There's
be a coop.
There was probably
They go
a
to
coop.
bed
but,
in a coop.
But these little SOBs were like running in the yard, just like terrorizing shit. Like it was crazy.
In the
Daylight.
property's yard or
Next
in
door.
their own
in their
yard?
own yard next door. It was a little chain link fence, so you can see it night and day. But like, how are you gonna like have people over in your backyard, partying, hanging out in the back, and
The chickens next door.
30 or 40 chickens just hanging out next door?
Okay, I grew up with 30 or 40 chickens in my
Those
backyard.
Albuquerque-
You
These
have just
Albuquerque people-
offended
So
Jamie
I'm
Book.
just like, what's the big deal
Those
here?
of us
Put
that
up a
live north of
privacy
north
fence.
and grew up north of north in the city limits do not see 30 or 40 chickens frequently.
It's
Okay,
not
that's
common
fine,
in Chicago proper.
But like, why not? Why wouldn't you buy a house next to chickens? I just don't understand. They're
When there's
not
other properties
loud.
out there
They're
that
not.
don't have chickens next
they're
door.
not
I would probably rather go
destructive.
that route. They're probably not
And you'll
destructive.
probably get free eggs. Think of all the egg whites you could drink.
See, I was thinking
Terrence.
if
the
one of
egg
those
whites.
chickens happened to go missing,
Oh, wow. Every day.
every
Terrence would
day.
Oh
eat
my
the
God.
chickens.
We used to have 30. Now there's 28 and there's 25.
Oh, there's a darn fox in the neighborhood.
You got a chicken guy that can get rid of a chicken?
yeah,
Ah,
right here.
He's got a chicken guy.
This guy right here.
But yeah, long story short, like there's no reason to live next to that. If you want to live next to chickens, you're not living in city proper. You're not living with the city address generally. Can we agree on
Agreed.
that?
You don't
maybe?
want to. You do not want to live when you buy in the city. You're not expecting to live next to farm animals.
And if you see a listing that
I
has
just think
that,
there's a lot worse animals to live next to.
tell me
than
one. All right, Jamie, let's put you on the spot. What would you prefer not to live next to?
Yeah.
A horse.
All right, that was me. That was me. Sorry about that. I have not
A
encountered.
llama.
I haven't encountered a llama or a horse in the city.
I
so-
mean, but I don't even know if a llama could fit because those things are large.
yeah, this conversation just took a tangent here, and I think the producer told me to not go on tangents. So I
Yeah, no
apologize.
tangent.
Several years ago, I can never remember what kind of cat it was. A big cat in the neighborhood. Like a cougar.
Okay. I see a lot of cougars in my local bar too.
There
man.
we go.
Oh God, let's talk about
There
this.
we go.
Let's go
God
here.
damn it.
No.
As a pet, Jamie Book, someone had a cougar.
No, it was a wild.
A wild cougar
Was it a cougar or a? I don't think it was a bobcat. What are the other cats?
in Chicago. Was it a lynx?
Literally in Chicago, in someone's yard, like creeping. And I got out my phone to take a picture, and it ran away.
It wasn't a lynx.
I don't think it was
Lynx.
a lynx.
Wow, well played.
Do what I can. See, well, if I see a lynx, a cougar, a bobcat, just like a coyote, I would call 311.
Makes sense. Not pull out my phone and take a picture of it, but
Well, it depends on where I am. If I'm somewhere safe, I'd take a picture, then call. But if it's near me, I'm
It was behind a fence.
kicking it and then
But-
calling.
yeah.
But
Okay.
fun fact: when I moved into my house,
Mm.
my neighbors had bees.
Okay. Sure.
And-
my aunt actually does bees. She's got a beehive in her backyard.
I thought it
in the
was
city.
really cool. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, okay, I'm okay living next to bees if I get honey.
Sure.
Why are you not okay living next to chickens
Bees are
if
quiet.
you get eggs?
Bees are quiet.
So chickens are quiet. Roosters are not. Chickens, they just.
That's a noise.
How do they do that again? I just want to make sure I heard that correctly the first
Yeah.
time. Sorry.
And that's
my
a
headphones
noise.
are on the correct way. so I wouldn't-
I've heard chickens do their little noise.
Okay, fine. I'm cutting us off. Ted, tell us.
Sorry.
And scene.
Scene. Clap.
Ted, tell us about a time. I can't.
Sorry, Jamie just looks at me and laughs, which is kind of embarrassing, but it also brings happiness to my heart. So that's kind of nice that I can make you smile.
Oh,
She's got a good smile.
So, Ted, tell us about something you're really proud of or something you've done that you'd like to brag about a little bit.
I mean, I'm not a bragger if you guys haven't noticed
Oh,
already.
okay.
Not at all.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
really- I
Just
don't
something
really
you're
wanna say
you're
that.
proud of. Humble brag.
I mean, I guess in an industry full of, there's a lot of us out there. And
Yeah.
everyone does their own thing and they got their own niche, right? It's like, what do you do to help people? Like, are you on Zillow? Are you on billboards? Are you working with a certain amount of people or doing things? You know, I always really like the fact that I am pretty relatable and pretty down to earth. I don't really wear suits, blue suits or anything like that. We're not going to go there. But I generally, you know, I'm a pretty casual guy, you know, born and raised on the north side. And I really love the fact that at my old company that I met Jamie at, I had a lot of people that worked on the staff there in the marketing department, front desk, yada, yada. And I think I counted this morning that 6 different people that were staff picked me to work with to help them buy or sell property.
That is
Which I
awesome.
thought is kind of cool. Like they work in a real estate office with hundreds of other people. and they can pick any of those people to help them do their next step in life. And the fact that they came to me and, you know, gave me that honor, I think it just kind of speaks volumes of like that I don't want to say I'm like a people person or anything, but I'm also, you know, I don't have my head in the clouds.
Yeah, you're making true connections with people.
Totally.
You're not showing up and just doing the job.
Correct. And I think that was, again, the price points are not massive, but I just think it's a better story and it makes you feel really, really good about what you do. Because at the end of the day, you and I do this for a living, all three of us. We're getting people from point A to point B, and that's awesome. But like we forget that sometimes too, right? I mean, when we do it so often, like it kind of just becomes repetitive and we forget that the people that we're helping, we're changing lives. I mean, we're not spinal surgeons or doing things of that matter.
We're not saving lives.
We're not saving lives,
but we're
guys,
changing lives.
But we're really, really helping people. You know, buying and selling property is a massive undertaking, as all of us can attest to. And it's like, for them to pick you or me to like work with, like that's a freaking honor. That really is cool, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, it's really nice sometimes to like sit back and be like, all right, maybe I don't suck as much as I really think I do in this industry, because a lot of people out there are hustling and working and working and working, and God forbid, congratulations, that's awesome. They're making awesome money. But I think I've really come into a nice niche of work-play balance where I work when I need to work, but I play when I need to play as well.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing about this business, I think, is finding the work-life balance.
For sure. I mean, depending on what motivates you, right? A lot of people want the money, and I know one of our good friends that we used to work with at the other company, like he works his ass off and he's pulling 70, 80 hour weeks, and he's making the money, but is the quality there?
Right.
You know, and it's
is he
like,
enjoying his life?
Is he really enjoying the life? Because, you know, you have one YOLO, baby. I can't believe I dropped the YOLO. Oh man, can we edit that out too?
Yeah,
that's great. Okay.
That's not even a millennial thing anymore. Are you a millennial?
I am Gen X.
Oh.
Gen X starts, I think, in 81, so I'm 3 years into the Gen X.
Okay. Yeah, you're not a YOLO guy.
I'm not a YOLO guy, and I just dropped a freaking YOLO on a Jamie podcast. Thank you.
I'm here for it.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, awesome.
Well, we can roll that into the next question of, okay, you have a good work-life balance.
Totally.
I know you have a lot of investment properties. Does that kind of help with that as
think so.
well as,
Totally.
you know, it allows you to be like, okay, yeah, I don't need to bust my ass to get, 40 listings or however many to make sure you're getting that payday, because you've built up a portfolio that allows you some flexibility because you have consistent income coming in.
It's huge. I think it's huge. And I think you're starting to do it now. Obviously, you're flipping houses. I don't know if you're involved in the investment portion of things. You are. I've heard a couple of things, obviously. That's right, with the Mark Ainley podcast. But it's massive, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like, we help people buy and sell property. And I feel like I want to preach more about how to do things, because I think so many people are doing it wrong, and they're not buying property and they're not investing in real estate. And name me anyone that's got some money that doesn't have real estate in their portfolio somewhere,
Totally.
right? It's crazy. So like the fact that, I've built up, Mariah and I didn't have children for a long time, and we had a little bit of money to play with. So I went on a spending spree from 2016 to 2024 where we bought a property a year. And having that in the portfolio now is, getting that cash flow every single month is great. On top of that, the appreciation is insane these days, as you guys both know. So having that as a backdrop really means that I don't have to work as hard on the real estate portion of things here, and kind of pick and choose my clients a little bit more as well.
Yeah.
And that's really nice, for sure.
I mean, to have that alone, just to be
Totally.
able to say, oh, I can pick and choose my clients.
Yeah, huge.
So many people don't have that luxury, or they maybe have it or the ability to, but they're so one-track mind of like hustle culture and mindset that
Totally.
they don't.
Totally. How many people have we worked with in the past that on both sides where you're like, I kind of hate this person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only doing this for the dollar. And like, that sucks. That's no
for
way to
sure.
live. That's no way to work, right?
I have a closing coming up tomorrow that I am.
You going to drop names, Jamie?
No, I'm not
Okay,
going to
good.
drop
Let's
names.
not drop
What is the name and the address
Spill
of this
the
property?
real tea.
It's my clients, and I legit cannot wait for this to close.
And those are draining, right? Like at the end of the
It's
day,
draining.
like those
Oh,
are
yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
And like being able to pick and choose your clients. And again, I'm not saying like I've got it good, but I think I've really dipped into I don't need to work as hard or as crazy or work with every single person that I encounter anymore, which is great. And it just gives you that quality of life.
Yeah.
And it's really big. And now that I have a kid, now I've taken the foot off the accelerator tenfold over the past 12 months, which is crazy. And my numbers this year are going to be Probably worse than they've been in 15 years, I'm guessing. No bullshit. It's going to be pretty ugly on that side of things, but
worth it.
But having the 4 investment properties in Chicago, we have a couple Airbnbs in Michigan City, all of that.
Michigan City, Indiana?
Michigan City, Indiana, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So we have a second home in Long Beach, Indiana.
Okay.
And Michigan City is right in between Chicago and New Buffalo. And if you recall, during COVID, both of Michigan and Illinois were pretty locked down. Indiana didn't realize there was COVID.
Right.
So we made a killing at it. I mean, 2020 was insane for short-term rentals.
Yeah.
People getting out of town and they're like, where do we go? And Indiana was like, hey, come over here. So it worked out really well. And like Jamie does really well with hers too. Airbnb has been really great. And just having those in your back pocket and having those pay the bills when you need to, when you're not working as much because you have a kid now, it's huge.
Yeah.
Oof. Got to pick your brain some more about that stuff.
Please, anytime. Seriously, I got long-term rentals in Chicago, 4 buildings, 9 doors. All of them pretty strong. I picked them up in 2016 to 2020.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a good time.
It was a good time.
It's kind of harder now.
Yeah, let's
to
go back
find
and pick up
something.
some more back
I
then.
know you had Tom on the podcast a couple episodes ago, and he was saying that he regretted starting in 2015 instead
Yeah.
of 2010. All of us did, right? Hindsight's 2020. It's
Oh,
amazing.
totally.
Absolutely.
But what's crazy too is like 3 of the 4 that I have in Chicago, I actually went as a listing agent. I was going to list the property.
Oh, yeah.
And
you
then
said,
after like picking your
actually-
brain and whatnot, I was like, do you want to sell? And 3 of the 4 said yes. So 3 of my 4 were literally my listing appointments that turned into property sales.
You just bought it from him.
Just bought it right from him.
That's awesome.
Perk of the
What are
job, I
perks?
guess.
You get to know the properties before they hit the market. That's huge, especially in today's market. You and I
Yeah,
both know.
honestly.
For
Save
sure.
yourself a lot of money.
For sure.
All right, Ted. We're going to do our wrap-up questions. Terrence apparently has a new question for us. So
Oh, that's right. He's got one. He's going to surprise us with.
let's hear it.
All right, I will lead with a
T-bone?
new question. You've heard it. I will lead with a new question. Tell me how you approach a loaf of bread.
Oh, the butt question.
So when you are opening up a fresh loaf, you're going to make your first sandwich.
Right down the middle.
Do you skip the butt, go for the meat,
Right in the middle.
or do you go butt regular?
No.
No,
I
he
mean,
takes the middle slices?
go middle, go out. And then at the very end, all the stuff at the very end. So you don't use the last 2 or 3 on either side. Do you? Do you guys?
Oh my gosh.
Do you guys use the last?
I consume the entire loaf.
Do you really?
So what I do is I skip the first butt,
Okay.
go for the regular slices.
Okay.
Once I finish the loaf,
Okay.
double butt.
Oh, you double butt
He
at the end,
double
huh?
butts
I
at
double
the
because
end.
the reason that this became a question is because last week I brought a sandwich
Double
and
butted?
it was a double butt because I reached
I
the
don't
end of
think
the
I've ever
loaf.
seen one.
And she was like, "What the hell are you eating?" I'm like, "Peanut butter and jelly." Like, wait, here's the end of the loaf. I'm like, well,
It
it's
was
the
the
end of
smallest sandwich I'd ever seen. It was like,
Well, because the problem is the butts are very unpredictable.
Always.
So you never know how thick or how small they're going to be, but they're still bread.
I used to leave the butts and then like
to the birds or
either not eat them or eat them last. But now I just do the full loaf just as it is.
So you go butt regular bread.
Yeah.
And then
Do you really?
all the breads
your
and then
first
do a
sandwich is going to have butt regular bread?
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, you're messed up. That's messed up, Jamie Book.
And
I
you
love
just
but
you
that's-
just no butts or probably the first
Generally,
one or
well,
two.
here's the thing is I don't eat a lot of bread. So let's preface it with that. I probably never get to the butts. It's normally moldy by then. So by that point in time, like you start down the middle and you work your way to the outsides. So I'll take the 2 best pieces right away because I want that shit, the good stuff right away. Give me the goods.
Wait, you take it out of the bag?
What do you mean? Of course. You have to cut it. Oh, you're saying.
So you don't do.
I'm saying like if you get like an uncut piece and you're like right
He's
down
a
the middle.
fresh
he is
loaf
he is
kinda
a bougie
guy.
bread kind of guy.
Oh God, you guys buy like normal stuff. It's already pre-cut. Oh,
Pre-cut
God.
Well-
in the bag. I'm sorry, I'm not
Sorry.
up to that level yet.
Also, I'm gluten free, so the bread's
Oh.
It's
different.
getting worse by the
Oh my
second.
God.
Oh man, can you even eat bread?
I can
special
eat
bread.
gluten free
Your special bread. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next question.
Cool.
Go ahead, Jamie Book.
Would you rather be invisible or fly?
Terrence, I've been thinking long and hard about this one, man, and there's no way in hell I would say invisible until you tell me if I'm flying at my pace of walking speed, I am not going to fly.
No, you
Interesting.
can way fly faster
Well, am I
than
flying
that.
like Superman speed? Like, of course I'm going to fly. But if I'm flying at a walking pace, I'm
Why
going to
would
look
you
like the biggest.
fly at a walking pace? That
Why
would
are
be
you-
You've never
ridiculous.
specified how these powers work,
There's
Jamie Book.
100%, Jim. You can't just assume things, Jamie. This is all hypothetical, right? So I am 100% going to fly if I can get speed of 35 miles an hour or faster-ish.
I feel like that's absolutely doable.
Is it? If it's implied, which I think it is.
I think it
Of course
is.
I'm flying. But at
Okay.
the end of the day, like If it's a snail's pace of a fly, that's like pathetic.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
be
mean,
the
that-
laughing stock. People will look up and be like, look at that idiot.
They're like running
Flying,
past you
yeah.
as you're just flying.
Just flying, like taking my sweet ass time.
Yeah, that'd be stupid.
So yeah, unfortunately, I would love to agree with you. But the
Okay.
fact that Patrick did also kind of turns me off a little bit. So once he went, X, I went Y, I think. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, man.
That's okay. I think we're
For
up
sure.
to 3 people that have agreed with me now.
No, it was just Patrick.
No.
Oh, wait. You mean the one that's coming out next agreed with you?
Oh, yes. These haven't aired yet.
Oh.
Because
Person that you
Haley
just had.
agreed with me.
I
And
don't remember that.
Oh, isn't it? She's
I am-
blacking it out.
I
now,
did
isn't that
block
funny?
I think she did because I got really excited when I heard it. Somebody besides Patrick agreed with me. At least one person. I think it was Haley.
That's don't
It
brag
has
about
to
that.
be.
Yeah, don't brag if Patrick agrees with you. Sorry,
Okay.
Patrick. We love you, buddy. Again,
Last question.
please.
What is one piece of advice you would give yourself when you first started knowing where you are now?
Buy something sooner than later and keep going until you can't. Buy.
Buy. Just buy it.
Buy. There's how many people the three of us work with where they're like, they hesitate. We're going to wait for the market to get better. We're going
Yeah.
to wait for rates to get
Ugh.
better. Those people are never going to be financially strong. They're not.
And in the year you're buying, it's always high, right? Like
Sure.
everything's high now. Everything's
100%.
high now. Okay, 4 years ago, everything was high. 2 years ago, everything was high. And now look at the appreciation. So you just got to bite the bullet, do it.
Do it.
In 10 years, you're going to be so happy you
You
did it.
don't know what the market's going to be like tomorrow to sit back and wait for it to happen. And
Yeah.
when you do, I promise you there's people with a lot more money than you that are going to be buying up a lot more stuff than you as well.
Everybody's waiting for another 2007.
Everybody. Oh my God. I mean, Jesus, if that happens, you think I'm not jumping on that as well?
I'd buy more.
Right. And that's the thing. Like all these people are so hesitant and just waiting and waiting. And I bought my first condo in 2006 and my first investment property 9 years later. And I regret everything about that. I would have house hacked something right away, bought a 2 or 3 flat, lived in a unit, rented the others out, and just
Yeah.
went with it.
Kept scaling.
Scale away, man. For sure. So if you're out there listening right now, get off the fence, buy something, get it done. If the rates suck, refi later. If the
Yep.
prices suck, they're going to suck later.
They're going to get higher.
For sure. They're always going to
Yeah.
get higher.
Yep.
Show me real estate that, you get like little valleys, but in the long haul, it's going up.
Right.
Always. So,
All right.
yes.
Well,
I'm good.
great.
I'm set.
Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us on today's episode of RealTea Chicago. And as always, I mentioned before, like, subscribe, and follow. But if you want to join our community, you can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, Reddit. Those are all RealTea Chicago, RealTea Chicago. And if you have a story you would like to share with us, we have a Google form that'll be linked in the show notes for you to fill out, and you can do that anonymously or not. Or if you'd like to nominate someone to be on the podcast, please let us know. Otherwise, thank you, Ted.
Thank you, Jamie.
so
Thank you,
much for being
Terrence. You
here.
guys rock, man.
We appreciate you being
it.
here.
Absolutely, my man. Absolutely.
What was the final kicker that got you on? Because it was true when I first asked him.
Jamie
He
just
said,
reprimands people,
no.
and after a while, it's like just do it, and just maybe she'll stop yelling
The
at you.
squeaky wheel gets
That's
the grease.
so not what happened,
know.
though. We were on the
Wow.
phone talking about something completely different,
For
and he
sure.
just
Good
said,
point.
"Actually, I've decided
You
I
know what,
would like to
Jamie?
come
I'm
on
going
the
to do
podcast."
it.
You know what it is? He realized that how big we are, and this is going to get him some clout and some street cred.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
I am going
With
to be
the
the
boys.
mocking. Yeah, my friends are going to see this and be like, "You're an idiot." But that's just who I am. So it works out perfect.
It's only because of the way you eat bread.
Obviously, Jesus.
I actually think it was because
But-
Mark and Tom came on, and he was like, "Oh, okay."
Now you're credible. You're
Now
getting
they're
those guys
legit.
on. Oh, those guys are big
Okay.
shooters, man. Oh my God, you had them. I guess this is legitimate after all. Wow. No, you guys are crushing it, man. Everyone, we're all listening. We appreciate it, and we commend you guys. You guys are kicking ass, and we like listening to people that are local people. Puff up the industry and say good stories and bring normal people on. I think that's the coolest part. You don't have all the big, crazy, big shooters.
Yeah.
You guys have normal Joe Schmoes like me and other people on.
Thanks.
We appreciate that for sure.
I appreciate you.
Totally.
We love the love.
All good.
Thank you.
I'm
gonna
here for love,
cry.
brother. I'm here.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
It's been real.